Get ready with me as I tell you about my evil stepmom. And this is little Asta. Apparently he wants to snuggle while I tell you guys about this. To start off with, my dad met my stepmom when I was just 3 years old. He was married to my mother, and he was having an affair with my stepmom who lived downstairs in the apartment. Now, my stepmom loved the idea of my dad cheating on my mom with her, and she hated kids. Mind you, I was 3, my sister was 2, and she absolutely despised kids. So my dad was supposed to be watching me and my sister when my mom was at work. He would be going over to her house, and I wouldn't even know where he was at. I was, again, 3. So already putting my stepmom first, mind you, and this continued for the rest of my life. My stepmom was able to manipulate my dad into doing whatever she wanted. She would literally get jealous of him hanging out with us. She would get jealous of my dad buying us things, all the above. So my dad didn't buy us really anything. My dad didn't spend much time with us. We were locked in our room all the time. And my stepmom would literally brag about being the evil stepmom. Like, she would say that herself. Now, this is when she started also bullying my mom, and then got all her friends, and my dad would get all our friends and bully my mom as well. Yeah, and this continued for, like, the rest of my life. Now, mind you, I know divorce is a nasty thing. It just is worse when the new person is just fucking evil and literally makes, like, twists and makes everything so much worse. Like I said, they were very toxic. They would talk shit about my mom constantly, and they both had their flaws. Like, my mom wasn't perfect, and my dad wasn't perfect. So, like, but that is the worst thing you could do to somebody's, like, to your kids, is talk shit about the other parent. It also makes the other parent's life really hard, and also, it fucking confuses them. It's just not healthy. Don't do it. Anyways, if they had, like, parties or, social gatherings or anything like that, they would keep us locked in our room. Like, we wouldn't be physically locked, but we weren't allowed to come downstairs, or we weren't allowed to be around people. My stepmom would literally brag to her friends about being the evil stepmom and how much she despises kids, and even they saw it as a red flag. I would remember them checking in on us, and then I think someone mentioned to her at one point, and then she kind of stopped, like, talking about it out loud as much. But I will tell you, I think I was 8 years old and going through all this divorce and going through this, like, shitty stuff going back and forth. I wasn't, like, the nicest kid. Like, I was just going through a lot, and I was a very quiet kid, and I kept to myself, and, like, making friends wasn't really, like, a priority to me. Well, I remember her being, like, you're a stupid bitch, and you will never have friends. I was 8 years old, mind you. And she told me this, and it stuck with me for the rest of my life. And I think that's, like, one of the things that kind of made me try to be, like, a people pleaser, is because she was just like, nobody will ever like you, blah, 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 this. But that wasn't, like, the only insult, and that was not where it ended either. She bullied me and my sister both. My poor sister was always, like, fat shamed, and then she was always like, really mean to her. Like, I couldn't tell you one thing. She said that my sister can't afford to smoke because she doesn't have the brain cells to spare. Like, she literally said that to me about my little sister. Isn't that fucking awful? Who says that about their kids? I remember my uncle, my godfather, who would get us, like, really cool gifts for Christmas and stuff because, I come from a family where we couldn't really afford much, so he'd get us really cool gifts, and he would ask us what we wanted, and, he would get us cool big things. And I remember my stepmom literally got mad at him for getting us cool things. Like, I think he got my sister a TV once, and she literally got mad at him, and then got mad at my sister, and she got in trouble for it. She would literally tell him, don't buy them gifts, they're spoiled enough, because she just didn't like us getting things. And like I said, my dad rarely got us things also. My dad's favorite word was no, and that's because my stepmom's favorite word was no. And she'd get mad if, like, my dad would take us to the movies without her. She'd get mad if my dad took us anywhere without her. And this continued to my adult life. Now, as I became a teenager, she did start to grow to me. Like, she started to like me. So we would do, like, workout stuff, like, P90X, and she'd take me grocery shopping because she started to favorite me. But her and my dad treated my sister terribly. So it was kind of a tough thing. And then, talking shit about my sister to me kind of, like, put a negative thoughts into my head about her. They would say that she just seeks attention and that she makes up depression and all this really nasty shit. And they were both like that towards her. And I think a big part was that my dad would just, like, feed off of her, and she would feed off him, and, like, it got really fucking bad. And I was my sister's only advocate. I'd be like, you guys realize this was really fucking messed up, right? Like, that really destroys anybody's mentality and self-worth. And you guys don't care. You guys just still continue to fat shame her. And I can tell you, as soon as I turned 16, as soon as I developed womanly things, we were both slut shamed. We were both, like, they never trusted us. If we were to come forward about anything, whether we were assaulted or anything, they didn't believe us. Just, like, they never believed us with anything. If we were sick, they wouldn't believe us. And they were just, I don't know. It was a really toxic, like, back and forth thing that, like, they brought out the worst in each other. Now, like I said, I still had a relationship with them as I got older. It's because I related to them quite well. And, like, I don't know, they favorited me, so they still stayed in contact with me and checked in with me. And mind you, they basically already disowned my sister. They never checked in on her. They still always talked shit about her constantly. Like, constantly. My stepmom was the worst of it. My stepmom got brain surgery because she had a tumor in her brain. And she was, like, basically a fucking baby. And I feel like that was, like, a blessing in disguise for her, because she manipulates, like, my dad with that now. So if she overreacts, if she's stuck on something, if she wants something to happen the way she wants it to, she uses the brain surgery as an excuse. So, like, my dad's more manipulated now than ever. And it's super bad. Like, I thought that she was just, she was still affected by it, and that, she was still a child, but it turns out she's not. Yeah. My aunt went to go visit my dad, and, basically the whole time she was there, my stepmom and her mom were bullying her, and she was manipulating my, dad to also, like, bully my aunt. So my poor aunt was bullied hardcore by all of them as soon as her husband left, and, my dad was just like, well, I don't know who to believe and all this. And that's how it was my whole childhood. My dad would be like, I don't know who to believe. He never believed me or my sister. He'd always believe my stepmom, and my stepmom would always manipulate him with this. So here's what she told my aunt. She said, I'm jealous of yours and my husband's relationship. Mind you, that's her fucking brother. And she was like, I'm jealous of your guys' relationship. I'd really like if you stopped coming on walks with us. She literally was jealous of her husband, my dad's sister's relationship. She was also, when I went to go visit, she was all over my dad, like, PDA hardcore in front of me. I've never dealt with that in my entire life, and I was raised to not do PDA. It was the most uncomfortable, disgusting thing I've ever, like, been around. So at this point, she's basically has my dad wrapped around her finger because of this brain surgery, and now my dad has no daughters because all he cares about is pleasing her. My evil fucking stepmom. She is so manipulative. Like, literally, I remember as a kid, if, like, my dad did something with us, or, like, my dad disagreed with her, so, like, I remember I lived with them for a little bit as when I was an adult, but I was never there. I was always gone. I was working, or I was at my boyfriend's at the time, and she wanted me to clean the whole house, which is how we were raised, by the way. We did everything in the house. We cleaned, we did everything. They didn't do anything, and as soon as we were done with chores, back in our room. Well, when I lived with them for a bit, she's like, you need to clean, and I was like, I don't see how that's fucking fair. I'm never home. And my dad took my side for once, and she flipped and went into her room and locked the door. And so my dad couldn't even talk to her. This was my whole fucking life, dude. She is so fucking crazy. And like I said, always remember this. She literally bragged about being the evil stepmom. She loved it. She loved all the Disney villains, and she loved how they would treat their stepchildren. Like, she literally thrived off Cinderella's evil stepmom. So if you have an evil stepmom, my heart reaches out to you. But you know what? As long as you have at least one good parent. I had my amazing mother. We're all good, right? We're all safe. Anyways, that's my story, and I'm all done with the makeup. Have a great day.